Chapter 4 is where I attempt to put it all together in somewhat of an applied science of art, but it's also about applying science in general. I'm skipping figure 43, the first figure of the chapter, because it's a lengthy static tree, a concept map of concepts. Because it's nonlinear, animating wouldn't enhance it. The whole chapter has to do with balance. As alluded to by the cover of the book, life is a balancing act within a balancing act within a balancing act ad infinitum. It's a balancing act between extremes, between buying time and killing time, between quantity and quality of life, between theorizing and exploring, between credulity and skepticism while exploring, between discovering what is and creating what ought to be, between science and art. As mentioned in Chapter 1, the relationship between science and art is not a left-right intersecting relationship like Figure 1b, it's an inside-outside subset relationship like Figure 1d. This puts science between the outer parts of art. The outer parts are like the bread of a sandwich. The title of the book is based on the art-science art sandwich. When stood on end and spread apart, it's the structure of Figure 50. Unlike the skipped Figure 44, Figure 50 is much more linear and sequential. I'm showing Figure 50 here out of sequence because there will be no animation for it, but this is all getting ahead of how the chapter progresses. The balancing act at the beginning of Chapter 4 mostly takes place in the artist's head. I make the case that everyone is an artist in Chapter 1, the same chapter where I introduce and explain the metadisciplinary needs of artists. In Chapter 2, I distinguish between what I call round and square artists, but that's a bit oversimplified. I dissect the nature of art down to fundamental elements, and use those elements to distinguish disciplines in the forms of compounds. Chapter 3 is mostly about the potential and the limitations of the scientific method as a tool for artists. In Chapter 4, we are freed from those limitations of merely discovering facts. We can make new facts with choices, but every choice is a conflict. The conflict is between a metaphoric left and right brain. The physical left and right hemispheres of the brain aren't as compartmentalized in this way as scientists once believed, but we can still recognize the functions and regions of the brain that fit the metaphor. In Figure 44, we change the light red I use for the art discipline to orange for design. The real art discipline takes place more towards the center where the corpus callosum and the oldest, less evolved parts of our brains are located. This is not to say that art is less evolved, but art is more considerate than the other disciplines of the more impulsive choices made from these areas. I use pink in the book to represent information in general, and in Figure 44 because it bridges the gap between our hemispheres. It also centralizes and summarizes the final decision-making function in the metaphoric central control center. The prescriptive side of Hume's guillotine ends here in the center between our metaphoric hemispheres. In this dominant part of the brain, I include the three agents of the somewhat outdated Freud model. I also include emotions, survival instinct, boredom, and the concept of choice itself in this area. Much like science, the left brain seeks to discover facts with skepticism towards ill-researched conclusions. The right brain seeks to synthesize those discovered facts into more abstract implications and meaning. In many ways, it acts as a bridge between the facts and the choices I attribute to the centralized functions. I've replaced two of the labels reserved for the book with symbols in this video, making this Figure 44-ish. Figure 44 illustrates one of my wilder theories. Some of the theories in Chapter 4 are a little more compatible with modern established theories, but the overall progression of the book is wilder theories as you go deeper into applying science. At minimum, wilder theories are fun to poke at. I hope you are looking forward to those theories. Please leave feedback in the comments. Thanks for watching.